name's Dale. I'm with the Peak Outreach Initiative. And so to tell you a little bit about our organization before we go into the afternoon's presentation. Peak Outreach is the outfit that is charged by the state agencies who house their programs on Peak to conduct outreach and training of community organizations around the state that are helping people access self-sufficiency benefits through Peak. All right, so that's who we are, that's what we do. There's a long history there, and it's also about the Peak website, but I'll leave that for another time or individual conversations. Who we collaborate with is we collaborate extensively with the state agencies who house their programs on Peak. At a governance level, we have been working, chairing a Peak steering committee that hold the state organizations together, because before Peak, the state agencies were like in their own worlds doing their own thing. And then Peak became part of what the state wanted to do, but those agencies hadn't ever thought about what does it mean to have a universal online application. Mm-hmm. You know, we ask a lot of the same questions, we ask different questions, we have different eligibility rules, right? I mean, whoo, big lift. But so that work has been going on in the state of Colorado for about 6 or 8 years, but 6 years that the application's been online. So we're going to go into that a little bit. So in any event, all these agencies do try to work together. And the Office of Information Technology, OIT, is the agency that actually runs Peak. All right, so Peak Outreach, we don't run Peak. We do outreach and training about Peak. But we also service shuttle diplomats. So we learn a lot through supporting organizations and their experience with clients on Peak, and we look to bring that information back into the state agencies as best we can. There's other groups and forums for that as well, but we're one of them. Another piece of the puzzle is that we have access to what's called the SIT environment, where Peak is being developed. And what I mean by that is there's live Peak that, oh wait, let me back up a minute. How many of you all know what Peak is? Have ever seen it? Okay, let me do the other. Who has never seen Peak? All right, okay. And so to tell you a little bit about our organization before we go into the afternoon's presentation. Peak Outreach is the outfit that is charged by the state agencies who house their programs on Peak to conduct outreach and training of community organizations around the state that are helping people access self-sufficiency benefits through Peak. All right, so that's who we are, that's what we do. There's a long history there, and it's also about the Peak website, but I'll leave that for another time or individual conversations. Who we collaborate with is we collaborate extensively with the state agencies who house their programs on Peak. At a governance level, we have been working, chairing a Peak steering committee that hold the state organizations together, because before Peak, the state agencies were like in their own worlds doing their own thing. And then Peak became part of what the state wanted to do, but those agencies hadn't ever thought about what does it mean to have a universal online application. Mm-hmm. You know, we ask a lot of the same questions, we ask different questions, we have different eligibility rules, right? I mean, whoo, big lift. But so that work has been going on in the state of Colorado for about 6 or 8 years, but 6 years that the application's been online. So we're going to go into that a little bit. So in any event, all these agencies do try to work together. And the Office of Information Technology, OIT, is the agency that actually runs Peak. All right, so Peak Outreach, we don't run Peak. We do outreach and training about Peak. But we also service shuttle diplomats. So we learn a lot through supporting organizations and their experience with clients on Peak, and we look to bring that information back into the state agencies as best we can. There's other groups and forums for that as well, but we're one of them. Another piece of the puzzle is that we have access to what's called the SIT environment, where Peak is being developed. And what I mean by that is there's live Peak that, oh wait, let me back up a minute. How many of you all know what peak is? Have ever seen it? Okay, let me do the other. Who has never seen peak? All right. Okay, forgive me. Okay, so peak is the online system, and we're going to go into that. We're going to go into that in a minute. It's an online universal application for a lot of programs in Colorado. So actually, I will back up on some of the peak outreach stuff and leave that for a little bit later in the presentation, and we're going to start going into peak. But before I do that, I wanted to share what I hope for. I think that's what you all were talking about also. So I really hope that you come to understand what we can provide to you, and that we are here at your disposal, and we are free. So if we can help you, please contact us. And so I just want you to know what we can offer, and that'll be overviewed here as we go through this presentation. And I hope that we're able, as a cohort, to really create an impact in this area of food insecurity in the state of Colorado, and really get more people signed up for the benefits for which they're eligible. I just saw Marissa in the back of the room, so I'm reminded of this because she's the one who spoke to her 9-year-old son asking about graphs back at the beginning. And I wanted you to know that I had a conversation with my daughter last night about, not conversation, I was doing some tutoring with respect to math, and it was all about graphs. And we were doing y equals mx plus b, and the run and the rise of the slope, and so this whole presentation is going to be in an algebraic metaphor. Okay, so, yeah, no, we won't do that. Hopefully it'll be as simple as possible, and we'll just get going. So I got the new to peak, and I'm going to leave the questions and hopes for now, because I just want to get through the information. But at the end, as time allows, I'd love to know if there's hopes or ways that we may be able to help support you. And questions we'll get to as we go along. So we're going to do some context that'll be pretty quick. A very brief overview of peak, the resources on peak, the application, and manage my account. I'm going to focus a little bit on that because I don't know how many of you that are familiar with peak know that part of peak. And then resources and questions at the end. Okay? So context, and this is going to be quick. Any door is the right door, and other people have been speaking to this. Wraparound integrated services. So we are part of that puzzle, and we all know that the better that we work together, the more we can help move people along their path of self-sufficiency. So peak is one of the doors. We're not the only door. It's not the right door for everybody, but it's one of the doors. So this part is for you to understand what that door looks like and how you can help use it. This is going to be a really quick one, but it's just a visual. So in those 6 years, this is how many iterations there have been of the Peak website. Logo changed. And now it looks like that. All right? Brighter, happier. But that is to share with you that Peak evolves all the time. It evolves every month. It evolves from a policy point of view. It evolves from a client interaction, finding things that aren't working, the connections to the state systems that lie behind it. There is an enormous amount that happens at the state level every month. And that's what I was saying about the part that we play, is that we are able to live in what's called the sit environment and look at what's coming and seek to understand how it's going to change for all of you before it changes. And one of the things that we do is package and provide that information, both before and immediately after those changes every month. So I'll get to that later in the presentation. Programs on Peak. So this is about food assistance, but Peak is a doorway into all of these programs for the state of Colorado. How many of you knew how many programs there were on Peak? A few? All right, but there's a lot. Now, not every single one of these is in the application. I'm going to show you the different functions of Peak, but the majority of them are in the application. And I won't overview those, just let them be there. But here's a few statistics. So since the beginning of Peak, there's been just over 1 million applications submitted online. And there's been that many change reports submitted online. So again, wanting to highlight the Manage My Account function when we get there. This is from the year 2015, the year this just ended. So you can just get a perspective about some of the big programs that house their programs on peak, what those numbers look like. So we can see that medical assistance down at the bottom has the most submitted applications, but food assistance, pretty strong numbers, and they keep growing every month as more and more people use peak. All right, so now looking at the peak website itself. So I just want to highlight, we're going to do a little bit of the overview of the home page before we move into the 3 functions. And this is going to be a high-level overview, so I'm not going to be doing like the application so that you all would know how to sit with somebody and go through the application. That's something that we can offer to any of your organizations and provide hands-on training in that way, but this is to give you a sense of what it looks like and how it operates.
Dan,
Yeah.
what does MAGI stand for under the medical?
MAGI, which is Modified Adjusted Gross Income, which is a certain set of medical programs that are aligned with the Affordable Care Act and have a different set of eligibility rules than the non-MAGI programs. And the MAGI programs are the ones that align with Connect for Health Colorado and advanced premium tax credits, but that might be going into too much detail, but that's that whole world, MAGI medical programs.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so let's just look at a couple of these things. Help button in the upper right corner. There is a help button on every page in Peak, and it's specific to that page. So if you click it, it gives you information about that page in Peak. This one gives you information, because it's the home page, about where you can go for general questions, and then all of the counties and county contact information. Next, Spanish. You can see Español in the corner, and when you click that button, the whole website goes into Spanish. If you go back and click English, the whole website goes back into English. So it's just those 2 languages, because that's the 13% mark in Colorado that Tonya had referenced. Under the Learn More, I'd encourage you, if you haven't gone to just explore the Peak website, to go ahead and do that, but I'm just giving you some highlights of places that might be of interest. Here, if you look at benefit information, for example, you're going to find all of the programs and the description of that program and what they can offer to people. So for those of you who are able to help people apply for multiple programs, that's one of the resources that can help you know what those programs are. And I actually, help me remember so I don't forget this, we do have folders for everybody, and one of the things that's in the folder is a brief about each of the programs, so you can just have a 1-page at a glance of the programs that are on. All right, so that's it. There's more stuff under Get Started and Learn More, etc., but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. And we're just going to take a very brief look at Am I Eligible? Am I Eligible is a screening tool that people can use to assess whether they might be eligible for a given program. It's said to be about a 5 to 10 minute screening tool. We won't go through the whole thing, but it looks like this. This is the format of any of the 3 main functions: Am I eligible, apply for benefits, or manage my account. So there's a left-hand navigation panel, there's a page with information, and then usually there's a next button at the bottom, and you just kind of move along through an online automated system. The system is dynamic. And so what that means is, different than a paper application that you start at the top and you go all the way through, Peak, you start with some information that's about the head of household, and then it's about the family members, and it's what programs do you want to apply for. And then the questions that display are customized to who's in the household and what they want to apply for. So it leaves off anything that's not needed, and it adds in everything that is needed. Dynamic system. So here, start, and you go down, there's color coding. Remember, the button was yellow, so the whole color coding is yellow, so you can know you're in there and not in Black Benefits, if you care to know that. It just gives you an example of what that page would look like and where you enter the information, and then you push next. So this is how Peak functions. So then you just get through other people in your home, you can go through income, down to results. So just went through that quickly, but this is a quick screening tool. And it's going to give people information. Right before it gives the results, it's a summary of this is what you told us, and just making sure that that's all right, or you can select an edit button and change something that you provided. And then once you click next, you get results. This is Am I Eligible? So it's might be eligible. It's just letting you know, do you want to go ahead and click the button in the application that you want to apply for a given program. And so here it says it looks like you may be eligible to get these programs, food assistance and WIC, and not able to get some other programs. The button on the left, on the right side, the little plus and minus says here's food assistance, gives you a description of what that program is. Okay? All right then, we're going to go into the application at a high level.
Yeah, another quick question.
Yeah.
Do you know how often the screening tool is unsuccessful in determining whether someone qualifies for benefits?
No, I don't know specifically. I do know that it's built so that there's a buffer that is in the direction of saying they might be able to get benefits rather than the other way around. So there's going to be some percentile of people that get the you might be eligible that end up not being eligible, but it's reasonably narrow.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. I threw this in. This is in your folder, and this is what Tonya referenced. That is that other resource that's been provided. How many of you all are currently have been providing medical assistance, like health coverage guides, or helping people get connected to medical? A few locations. I wasn't sure whether more of this cohort came from that background or not. So I just wanted to highlight that for food assistance, and I know that this is one of the elements that Hunger Free will help provide information about extensively, that food assistance application and eligibility requirements is quite different from medical assistance. So those of you who are coming from a medical assistance platform, there is a higher threshold of what's required for food assistance. So this can be a useful document to just help your clients be ready for what they might need to produce to be complete in their application. With that, a little upfront for peak. When somebody goes in to apply for benefits, this is what they're first asked. Do they want to create an account? Do they want to edit or finish? Or do they want to apply as a guest? And here I will take a little while with some of this detail, while we won't go into detail about the application itself today. Because I think that this will be a choice point for your organizations about what level of support you're able or want to be able to provide if you're providing actual application assistance. Let me back up. I don't presume that you all will, or that that's what you're set up to do. Some of you might refer people to Peak or other sites that provide application assistance. And one of the things that we want to be able to do is support you in that effort. We call that like a referring organization versus an assisting organization. So wherever you fall, just that you have the right amount of information to provide what you need to your clients. But if you're providing application assistance, applying as a guest means you do not need to create an account in Peak. And that means you don't need an email, because the email is used as the username in Peak. So it's the simpler way on the front end, but you lose a lot of benefit on the back end. And that's what I'm going to talk more about. I'm seeing nods here.
That's true.
So when you create an account, and that requires an email as username and a password, and somebody has to create an account, then they have a Peak account. They can create an account if they're already on benefits, and they've been on benefits for the last 2 years, and they've never used or seen Peak, right? They can create a Peak account. They can create an account and apply. They can work with somebody and apply on paper, go to Peak, create an account, and see what their result was from their paper application. So I want you to understand that Peak has many functions, one of which is an application. But if people create a Peak account, they have complete access to all of their benefit information online. So we're going to spend a little bit more time on the Manage My Account part today than we are the application. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So creating an account, if you've done online banking or different organizations that require usernames as emails, this is one of those kind of systems. This is what's needed. I won't go into the detail, but that's what's the page for creating a Peak account. Once they create that, then let's say they go in to apply on Peak. When they come in to start, they're selecting what programs they want. All right, so right at the top. You don't see that big list of all those programs. Remember that slide that had like 25 programs on it? Because the state agencies have worked to try to do some clumping of programs to make this simpler, that people don't need to know all of that information, all right? So I just want to highlight the save and exit. This is just beyond a 15-minute timeout. It doesn't mean save it in perpetuity, because if you apply as a guest, you cannot save your application. You just have to do it start to finish, and you can never go back in again once you're done. If you have an account, you can save and exit and come back 10 days from now and work on it again. Again, the left-hand navigation and benefits for the whole household. And then this is something I wanted to highlight for food assistance. And I know this is a little nitty-gritty, but just so that you understand this dynamic nature of peak. By policy, food assistance applications have to be accepted with name, address, and signature. Okay, no other programs, food assistance in Colorado works. No other programs are like that. So in peak, somebody who checks food assistance as part of their application, they could check 5 programs. They could apply for everything. If food assistance is one of them, they can submit their application from any page with name, address, and signature. All right, so that's just to highlight that. And there'll keep being a box that lets you know that as you go through the online application. And so it's letting them know their choices. You can set your application date now, you can submit now, etc. Submitting now, time and date stamps the application now. And that's relevant for benefits, in terms of when benefits begins. So, might be ideal for clients who don't have all of their information, but they want to get the benefit as swiftly as possible. And then you go immediately on a food assistance application into this information about getting faster food assistance, because expedited food assistance is part of what's available for food assistance. So if people are really in urgent need of food, they can get expedited assistance and begin getting benefits within 7 days. So there's just a small set of questions that can move them into expedited assistance, in which case they get an alert that lets them know that it's an expedited application. And that means a certain set of things at the county for processing, which is that it has to get processed within 7 days. All right. So then, at the end of every section in peak, on this left-hand navigation bar, people, assets, income, bills, is a basic information summary. So it's how peak works. You enter a bunch of information, you get to a summary page. From the summary page, you can edit, change what you've provided previously, and then you move on to the next section. So just an overview of how peak works. Here's people in the household. The programs need to be selected for each and every member of the household. So it's one at the beginning to select all the programs that anybody might apply for, and then as every single household member is added, each person is assigned what programs they're applying for, because different members of a household can be interested and are eligible for different programs. Does that make sense? And again, these are details we can get into if we're working with actual sisters at your site. These are all supposed to be hidden. I'm moving past these because these are hidden slides. Don't worry about this. So why are they not hidden? So these are just the way Pete gathers questions, but I didn't want to overwhelm you with all these computer slides at this point in the afternoon. So it just gathers information. Again, if you choose something, it goes deeper in. If you say you have income, it asks you from what. If you say a job, it asks you where. It just keeps going into more layers to gather the information that's needed. More about Jane's job, bills. We're getting there. We're getting there. To the signing your application. So I wanted to highlight here, there's a scroll bar there, and it is important that clients should be read or read what the responsibilities are for signing the application. It's a document that they have to be beholden to, and this lets them know about their interview and preferred method of contact, phone, in person, etc. And different counties have different setups for that. Not every county does phone interviews. I really don't know the percentage of who does what, but it's built into the application. And then they move into their electronic signature, that they've read it, and they submit their application. So that's the overview of the application. What you get then on Peak is the results page. And again, a combination application, if it's in combination with medical assistants can get what's called real-time results. They can get their result right then in the moment about whether or not they're eligible for medical assistance. They would also get the information about food assistance, which would be to what county it went for processing. Because food assistance cannot get, nobody but medical assistants can get real-time results. But so that information is here on the front page, and then there's further information that verification might be needed. This information is generic. If you push that button, it will be a generic list of possible types of proof, not their specific verifications needed. And a voter registration detail page, and then the final page that says, log into your Peak account today to begin managing your benefits. So this is trying to move people to manage my account, which is where I'm going to go next, okay? So this piece, if they did not create a Peak account, they would see this one page, which is now green color coded, and they're actually in Manage My Account. So I don't want to get this overly complicated, but this is the only part that they would see unless they created a Peak account. And what they will see here is their application status at that moment in time about whether it was received. So I want to point out that with a Peak account, they can go in and see the status of their application. I heard some groups talking earlier today, and it struck me that this is a useful feature. If those of you who are able to help or they have accounts, they can go in and they can see where their verification is in processing. And in fact, all the blue ones, verification needed, that link, when it's clicked on, it's specifically which of their verifications are needed. And those verifications can be immediately uploaded into Peak, which gets them to the county, which is what I heard you guys did, which is really awesome to hear. So, and can also be done by smartphones, so we'll get there in a minute. But, so there's some really great features that can better help people connect with their benefits and manage themselves towards self-sufficiency. So with that, a little bit more here about Manage My Account. Also, to say, those of you who are helping, particularly those of you who have done medical assistance or also health coverage sites, if any of the people that you're supporting are existing clients, have public assistance benefits, they need to go through Manage My Account to apply on Peak. They cannot create a new application. It will stop them. So I'm just letting you know right now, they need to start here. So I'm just going to do just a very brief piece about that. They have to sign in or create an account, so they've never been on Peak before, but they're a public assistance beneficiary. They create an account. They just go here and say create an account and click that, and they go through that thing and enter username, email, password, and create themselves an account. Then they have to link their case. This is where it sounds kind of complicated, but hopefully we can make it really simple. Because they're a public assistance beneficiary, they have what's called a case. And that means they're known to the state benefits system. They're assigned a number. It's called a case number. They have to connect their Peak account to that case number so that they can get a window into everything about their benefits. Submit their changes, submit their renewals, pay online, look at their EBT card balance online. It's all available online. They just have to link their account, okay? To do that, they need this information. They're going to need their social security number or their state client or client ID, and I know there's an organization that said they help people do that, so understanding how they do that could be really useful. And date of birth and the case number. So they need to know what that case number is in order to link their account. They can also get that from their county. All right?
So Dale, can I ask a quick question? So we hear a lot that, you know, there's people on Medicaid, but they're not enrolled in food assistance. So if they are on Medicaid and they have an account, this is what you're talking about? This is where they should start?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's they cannot start a new application through Apply for Benefits. I mean, they can try, but they will be redirected to this right here.
Okay.
And if someone has received SNAP benefits before in the past, but there's been a lag of X number of years or something, is that the same case?
No, It's not, if they are currently receiving benefits. But there's an exception with medical assistance that's in the last 15 months. It has to do with the shared eligibility system. I won't go into that right now. But, but otherwise, it's existing benefits.
Okay.
And in fact, if there's somebody, so let's get a little deeper into the wiring. Head of household puts in all their information, and then they start entering all their household members. And as they enter their household members, they have to enter identification information like citizenship, et cetera. So they're this far into the application, they enter a household member. That household member has existing benefits. They get a warning sign. Woo! Can't go here, can't go here, go here, go here. And
Does
they
it
get
make that
redirected
noise too?
to manage my account. So, yeah.
And then can I ask you a question about the state ID?
Yeah.
So it was social security number or state ID,
Yep.
meaning driver's license, meaning what?
State or client ID are numbers that are tied to medical assistance benefits. It's not a driver's license number. So a state ID is actually associated with Medicaid, a client ID is associated with Medicaid, and a state ID is a number that they can have for other benefits if they're not a medical assistance recipient. So it's something that would have come through their communications that they got for receiving benefits. Yeah,
But if they're totally new.
if they're
client,
just, yeah.
They're not gonna ask for social security or that.
No, because they would only be linking their case if they were an existing client.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so manage my account. So I don't have slides for each of these left-hand navigation bars, so I just want to highlight them so that you know what's in manage my account. Here's account information, and it just provides information about this person and their case number and their address and et cetera. But on the left-hand side, benefits, and I'm sorry I don't have those slides for you today, but benefits, the benefits page here would list all the household members and all of the benefits that they're receiving. It would list when their renewals are due, the dates that they're due, just like dashboard of what's going on for that household and all their information. Report my changes, they can go in here and report any and all changes. And I remember somebody was speaking to, it was Mary Ann, getting a letter and then they have to actually check no changes and send the letter back or they get discontinued from their benefits. Peak, have an account, go in, check no changes. It's like that. So it just, and I know it's not for everybody, but for those people who can get an account, it makes that whole process so much simpler and more efficient. So redeterminations, recertifications, the same thing. All that information can be entered here online. Payments can be made for any of the like CHP plus payments or Medicare buy-in. All of that can be done online. EBT card balances are through the benefits tab that people can go in and see where they are with their balance. Express lane eligibility is very distinct for just a small group of people and they know who they are and otherwise it's not available. It grays out. And account management is about ending case access and looking at just your account information. And then communications, let's see if I have that. I'm hoping I have one for communications. Oh, here's report changes. So if somebody has existing benefits, let's say they have medical assistance benefits, this is the pathway, without going into the details, this is the pathway they go in to add food to their case. So they don't have to go through a whole application because all the information is already in Peak. They just go in through Report My Changes and add a program. And they have a couple pages of questions, not a lot. And that's the kind of training that we're happy to provide. And we also have some written resources that I'm going to reference for you around those kinds of details of using Peak. Then it goes in to say, we're in Manage My Account. What benefits do you want to apply for and food? And these are the pages of questions that then are teed up that they have to answer. Because food has additional questions from medical, for example. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Great. Okay, so I just want to highlight that Peak Mobile is a mobile website. It's not an app, it's a mobile website. So if somebody can or has a smartphone, they can actually just look this up. You know, if they just go Colorado Peak, it'll just pull up as a mobile version of Peak. So they can access all the Manage My Account features through their phone. It's not the online, it's not the application, that'd be way too much on the little screen. But Manage My Account is all available right there. Okay, so that is really kind of the overview of what I wanted to share with you about Peak, so you hopefully know what it is, what it can do, how it might connect with this cohort and the work that you're doing, and the kind of assistance that we are able to provide. And I want to just share a little bit more about the Peak outreach resources that you have access to as a member of this cohort, or just in general. Anybody does. So we send out a monthly newsletter, and in that newsletter, we highlight the various trainings that are coming up. So as I said, we regularly provide webinar-based trainings around, they're called builds, when they change the system, enhancements. Every month as the system changes, we provide either a communication because there's not a lot changing, or we provide a really robust training because a lot's changing, like June. Lot changing in June. In good ways, for food. So, and then also, we've just begun this monthly training tips that I wanted to highlight. And through the newsletter, you can sign up to get, to go there. But monthly, we're doing a 30-minute call, and then we're just picking a topic, and we're just helping people know some part of Peak. And we're also soliciting, what do you want to know? So that we can put it in the next month's call. So that's going on there. Here's the enhancements overviews, the ones we just did for April. That's our newsletter. Then the other thing to let you know about is our website, www.peakoutreach.com. And this was, we tried to get our stuff posted on the Peak website, but it was very slow trying to move through all the state agencies to post. So for the time being, we've got a separate website. And I want to highlight Peak training resources. Here's back to also the place where you can go find out about our calls and our webinars and our trainings that we're holding. But on the Peak Outreach website, the training resources button or tab has a lot of resources that I would direct any of the people that are providing actual assistance to reference. There's webinars. So you can watch a recorded webinar of a food assistance application walkthrough. You can download these user guides that I will highlight in the folders, just so you kind of have a sense of what one might look like. I don't know how you can really see this at the front of the room, but we'll try. They're just these simple 1 or 2 page documents. This one is creating or linking a Peak account. So it's the step by step, how do you link to an existing account? Okay, that's an example of a user guide. So that's all these different user guides that we have, with constantly under development as we find parts and pieces that community organizations feel like they would benefit by understanding better, or having step-by-step instructions. So I just wanted to point you there. Oh, there it is.
You just moved it?
That's right. So it's just step-by-step instructions, page by page, what you do, how to link that account. All right, and that is in the folders, because I thought that might be one that's useful to you all, amongst others. So, I think that is everything that I had to share. I did that did I do that in half an hour?
You did great.
Are there questions?
How long is the training that you provide, and how do you go about scheduling?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. You can go to our website, and actually there's a link to request a training on the website, or you can call us at peakoutreach@bouldercounty.org, not call us, email us. So either place works fine, and you can request a training. And we really customize our trainings. So it depends on what it is that you specifically want to do, and whether you're providing one food assistance application or combination application, or you want an overview about Manage My Account. Depends on what you want. We'll do whatever you want. I would say standardly our trainings are 1 to 2 hours, depending on the audience and your needs.
When you do a new application, combined Medicaid and SNAP, does it slow down your medical application to do them both simultaneously? No.
No.
So the only slowdown is it takes longer to do both.
So I recently did a run-through myself to try to time what a reasonably simple application looked like in peak. And my assessment was that the variation between a medical-only application and a medical and food combo application was probably in the vicinity of 5 to 10 minutes
Okay.
for a reasonably simple household.
But it
So the
doesn't
more
slow down.
complicated you get, the more information
Sure,
that
sure,
needs to be gathered.
sure.
So the actual entering information, there are more questions required for food assistance than there are for med. In terms of the processing, it doesn't change the reality for either program. That part behind the scenes is separated, so the medical assistants can still get a real-time eligibility result right on the page. Or it can get pended along with the food, which always goes to the county.
Okay, great, thanks. So theoretically then, if they didn't have any benefits currently, and they thought they were only interested in SNAP, if you entered all the information for SNAP, you could also check the medical benefit and get an immediate response for them without taking any more of our time in terms of assistance.
Absolutely.
If you use Colorado Peak.
Yes.
If you use
So
Peak, right,
Colorado
yeah.
Peak does not slow down a medical app.
I do want to overview, because there's a lot of numbers on peak. And we have these things called peak cards, but on the back, and we have these in Spanish and English. They have, this is probably in Spanish. Can't even read it.
right?
You know, the case number, the password, just account information, all the numbers that they are trying to keep track of. So feel free to take these. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.